A major leak, which includes gameplay, cutscenes, developer menus, was just spread around the internet. It was rumored to be the result of a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee who is allegedly not being compensated properly. The leak comes just weeks after the game was delayed indefinitely due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and Sony has since announced a release date for The Last of Us Part 2 for June 19th. Naughty Dog has come under fire for their practices due to the substantial crunch that they put on their employees for The Last of Us Part 2 release. So I wanted to bring this story to you guys. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel the leaks might affect sales?
Well, I haven't seen the leaks, but I've seen comments about the leaks. Mm-hmm. People are not happy with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that might affect how it sells.
Is the internet really ever happy though?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah. I mean, it can also...
John, I have a question for you. They're not happy about the content of the leaks?
Yeah, they're not happy with like the story content that was leaked. They're not happy with the gameplay. It's just not what they were expecting, I think.
Okay.
And it just left a bad taste in their mouth. And I think on top of this being like a disgruntled employee because they were like overworked due to the crunch and then they just delay the game anyway.
Right.
That might just, that has a negative impact on the appearance of Naughty Dog and this game's release.
That's a huge bummer because Naughty Dog is one of my favorite developers.
Yeah.
They make some awesome games. So I think this is a huge bummer. I think it's not going to affect sales. Like Pokemon still sold huge, and people were complaining about that. Like I also, guys, the leaks are super, super spoiler heavy and like will ruin the game for you. So the Game Pack cannot, with a good conscience, recommend that you check these out.
I googled it just to get the story.
Yeah,
and like every story I clicked on, it was like, warning, there's spoilers in this one. So I'm like, I gotta leave. I gotta go.
Yeah, I think I saw one story that basically was just like, we're not going to do anything. At the bottom of the story, you can click the Twitter link, but we're not going to put anything in our story. And I was like, all right, cool. Thank you. News source, of which I cannot remember. But what do you guys think?
I'm with you, Phil. I think this isn't really going to affect sales all that much because, I mean, spoilers happen for so many projects. The people who don't want spoilers are not going to seek them out, and they're going to look away as soon as anything tries to get on them, and they're going to be excited and waiting for it, just as always. And also, it's important to remember that something can look bad, but then end up being really good. Yeah. Like it's really hard to get a feel for how a game plays and what the story as a cohesive whole actually is when just bits are spoiled. I thought the Marvel Spider-Man game for PS4, when I first saw the footage at I think it was E3, I thought it looked dumb because it was just a whole bunch of QuickTime events. I was like, it's like, you swing through, press A now, press A, I was like, what is this? Come on. But, or not A, they have triangle and square. But then it turned out to be an amazing game. And I was like, wow, okay. So yeah.
Naughty Dog tweeted today, what's today's date? The 27th. And they said, we know the leaks are out there. We're just as disappointed as you. Just know that what you've seen doesn't really affect how you're going to experience. You have to wait for the full experience.
Yeah, and these leaks could be a good thing, potentially. Not necessarily that they would do this, but there has been instances of footage being released and people being outraged and then companies changing. I'm looking at you, Sonic Design.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, so who knows? Who knows if they'll be like, oh, people that saw the leaks didn't like this story. Maybe we'll kind of like frame this a little better or something. I don't know. but then that's more work for the employees. So I hope not. I don't know.
Camilo, do you have any thoughts on leaks affecting sales?
I don't think it's gonna affect the sales that much because, like, even if you were diehard and you're like, I want to play this game so bad, and then you saw a spoiler, you didn't like experience the whole game. Like, there's still a whole game to play,
right?
So it's not like you see the leak and you're like, oh, I saw the leak, it's over now, I'm dead.
For context, if you know the ending of the first Last of Us,
I don't.
Like, no, if you see that out of context, you're gonna be like, how did we get here? Like,
exactly.
What happened?
Yeah, it might encourage you to find out the whole story.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I know a lot of people like watch streamers play a game that they haven't played, and I feel like a lot of the times that encourages someone to pick up the game themselves. I mean, it depends on the game, it depends on the person, but I think, stuff like that can very much help instead of harm.
Plus, this is probably one of the most anticipated PlayStation 4 games in recent memory.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to sell well. It's going to do well. It doesn't really... This isn't going to matter. Most people aren't going to even look at spoilers that are out there.
Except aren't all the pre-orders canceled?
Are they?
I thought maybe I read that. Guys, I'm sorry if I just gave him misinformation. But I know I pre-ordered like a special edition of this game.
They get canceled?
I don't know. They didn't email me. But also...
Well, they just released the official release date. It's June 19th. Which the original release date was, May 29th?
That's not that big of a push.
Yeah, it's only like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. So...
Yeah. Going from saying delayed indefinitely to being like, just kidding, it was 3 weeks, bro.
Yeah.
It is kind of odd that they announced the release date like the day after the leaks went out. So what happened?
I don't know. Maybe they're just reactionary.
Yeah.
How long is the first game?
It's like 20 hours.
Okay, because I'd like to play through it before the second one comes out.
It's really good. Like, it's a
really
good experience.
You got time. I think they gave it away, didn't they?
Yeah, or you could get it for super cheap.
Yeah, it's really cheap.
Like, you get it for like $5 probably.
Or you can get it on PS3 and it still looks dope as all get out.
That's what I have it on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should experience this game. Like, if you have it, if you have a PS4.
Yeah, I think I've got it on PS3.
Yeah, either any platform you have it on, you should play it on because it looks great either way.
Yeah.
But let's move on to my other question I wanted to get to you guys because I have an answer in the chamber already. What can be done to mitigate crunch? What do you guys think? I'll give my opinions in a moment.
Games.
So mitigate crunch as far as like the developers being crunched for making the game?
So it's not as bad. Like, there's going to be crunch, and it must be terrible to get to the point where the employee wants to leak the game.
Yeah. I would say the best thing to do to mitigate crunch is allow your game to have the time it needs to develop.
Animal Crossing.
That's probably the biggest thing for me.
Some games that are having this problem are being announced way before they should be announced. So, like, if the game was announced, then it's like been a while, and they're like, okay, we need to get this out. We announced this like 2 years ago. There's like more crunch, but if like they keep it under the wraps longer, like there's not that pressure.
Well, if they put a date on it, like this was initially supposed to come out in February, right?
Yeah, February.
And then they pushed it to May. And then the whole COVID-19 stuff happened, so they pushed it indefinitely. Which, like, this is an odd situation anyway. Like, we're in a global health pandemic. Like, I feel bad for the employees, but it's not the same as like a normal. It's not business as usual.
Yeah.
Like, normally you would crunch, and then still release it on that date. But since the pandemic hit and they thought it was going to like cause a financial crisis, so they were worried about it not selling. So I think it's just odd. I think there's going to be crunch no matter what.
So I feel that you can mitigate crunch by the video game industry, getting into the labor movement and unionizing. They shouldn't. Like, the film industry is unionized, and their workers, there are very strict rules on how you can treat a worker, and if you do overwork a worker, they get paid out the booty. They get paid out the booty. There's turnaround times for workers so that they don't get overworked. And even still, like, it doesn't solve the problem completely. People are still like working so hard and on no sleep because the companies are just willing to just continue to pay them. It's called golden time, where you basically just make 1,000,000 times your salary. But they still overwork them and give them like a 4-hour turnaround and then pay the penalty. And then these people drive home and they like die on the drive home. It's like it's a very serious problem. There's like a documentary about it. However, like if they were to unionize, if they were to strike, if they were to like advocate for their rights, if like there are ways for these people to then collectively bargain the hours worked, the salaries, and they would dictate like how this goes, like, and not just get abused, because these people have real skills and talents that should be protected, and like they can't just get like fired and replaced, because there's only so many people in the world who can make AAA 10 out of 10 video games. There's like not that, it's like a small pool of people. So these people should be like treated absolutely way better. And I just think if they had unions, they would. Wasn't there another rumor with the story that the employee wasn't getting paid? Yeah, it was over like he was like being like, okay, I've worked like these 80 gajillion hours, and I think they weren't like paying him out properly. Like,
oh gosh.
So like, I mean, what would happen in that scenario is you're like, hey, so I am being contracted. A lot of these guys are on contracts. It's like, I'm being contracted by Naughty Dog for the specific game, and there would be a payment dispute, and then this guy or girl would contact their union representatives, and their union representatives would just roll in, and they would be like, sup, like, what? Fix this now, pay our guy, or you're gonna have a huge problem. And I think a lot of them are like subcontractors, right? They're not like they're not employees. Yeah, they're not Naughty Dog employees. A lot of these dudes are freelancers. Yeah, and they'll once their contract is up, they'll go somewhere else. Yeah. So it's I don't know, it's a bad situation. Like, it's just not. I mean, I believe that every worker should be treated fairly and paid fairly. I don't know what's going to happen to this employee that leaked it. Like, is he going to get sued? Yeah, I mean, that's on him. His actions, like, maybe don't equal that. I feel bad for the other employees and stuff that worked on it, because, like, yeah, it's like, come on, they're going through the same stuff, and you just ruin it on them. Like, yeah. I don't know. Anyways, rant over. I am a card-carrying union member, so that's just my take. Yeah, I think unions can definitely help in certain situations, and have done a lot of good in a lot of areas. With that said, there are some situations that unions can do harm. I mean, like, maybe not the unions doing harm, but like the union has to be kept in check as well. It's a very fine balance of the company, the relationship between the company and the union, and they have to really find a good balance for it to work really effectively. And I hope that if they go that route, that they find that balance. Because one of my first jobs, I was working at a grocery store that required you to join a union, and so it was a minimum wage job minus the mandatory union dues. Right. And then, like, my first week on the job, I was forced to go on strike and not work. Right. And I was like in high school, I'm like, why am I at this job? I'm not getting paid anything. Well, I mean, but yeah, that was like, it'll give you a very different situation. It's a minimum wage job, and you went on strike to increase your salary. And if everybody goes on strike and doesn't work for $8 an hour, then they don't have any employees, so they have to give you a raise. So strikes work. If you work together and collectively bargain for stuff, that it works. That's why it's a thing. That's why there's an 8-hour workday, is because of labor unions. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good thing. They're a very good thing, and those who fall through the cracks in certain situations definitely don't outweigh that. So, yeah, that's a great idea, I think.
Very cool. So, did we go around the table? Mitigating crunch?
I think so, yeah.
Alrighty, so that is The Last of Us, Part 2 leaks. Guys, you gotta take care of your employees or bad stuff will happen. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out other PackCast stories, click on the videos on the right. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take care.